great-grandma?
Oh, my grandmother. My grandmother was
I should have done this.
just about the best person. I learned so many things from her. I learned that everybody should come to your house for the holidays, and you should never cook anything. You should never worry about food. Somebody will always go and send out for soda, or they'll send out for ice cream. That food was not important. And every other family I know, that's the big deal on holidays. What are we going to cook? What are we going to clean up? Nonsense. Grandma knew how to have a great party, and we did. And we always went, and we always practiced our performance, whatever it was going to be. We sang and we danced, and we always did something. And I remember my Uncle Jimmy had this like tape recorder, and he would tape record us all, and we'd all have a lot of fun. But there was no such thing as, you know, sitting down to a big yucky dinner or anything like that. No, all the kids got soda and ice cream, and the grown-ups got God knows what. But it was a lot of fun. I remember Grandma, she always made sure we had a good time, and there was no fuss, no cleanup. In fact, if you ever went over there after school, like sometimes I go to visit her, there was no food in that house. She might say, would you like an egg or something, you know, which you hated. But we never had food there. It was like a great place to go. They didn't make you eat your vegetables. You didn't have to do anything like that. It's just a wonderful place to go and visit. And then, of course, I'm sure that everybody who talks about Grandma is going to say how she did shababa with us. And that was like when she would cross her ankles and we'd sit on them, and then she'd like give us rides and say chababa, chababa, chababa. It's an Italian lullaby. Well, I don't know how the Italian lullaby got in there, but it was lots of fun, and Grandma always made us feel good.
Nellie Lynch, great-grandma.
Main thing I remember about Nellie Lynch is her indomitable, you know, rule of the roost. All my father and his brothers, my uncles, all having to go out in the hall to smoke, including Grandpa Jimmy. But the main thing I remember about Nellie Lynch was out in Rockaway. Besides hearing her come down the hall with her long toenails, you know, on the linoleum. that we always knew when Grandma was coming because you hear the scratching coming down. You know. So she was a dead giveaway there. But I went down with Carol again before. I don't know why Carol ever married me after all these things. But we went to Rockaway, and my father, of course, was taking his mother out. And much to the chagrin of Aunt Marion and Aunt Lily, he would always take her out and buy her drinks, which got them very annoyed because they'd be sitting there having drinks. But anyway, we're sitting in the bar in a restaurant in Rockaway, myself, my father, Grandma, and Carol, my bride-to-be, and she ordered a 7 and 7, Grandma did. And the guy comes over and plops it down, and she says, "What's this?" And the guy looks and says, "It's 7 and 7. He says, "How do I know it's 7 and 7? He said, "Because I mixed it." He says, "Well, I want to mix it." Goes through. The guy says, "I'm sorry, ma'am," takes it back again, comes back, puts the shot glass, and puts the 7-Up down, and waits. She says, "I'll do it when I'm ready." He says, "Fine," walks away. Guy turns around and walks, gets halfway back, she takes her shot glass, shoots it down. That's the way she wanted it, but she didn't want to order a shot that way.
Love it.
Hi, I'm Eileen Dwyer McNally Madden. I'd like to tell you about my grandparents. My mother's mother was Nellie Lynch, and she married James Aloysius Lynch. She had a son, George, then Marion, my mom, Lawrence, known as Law, Thomas, Lillian, and James. We loved her. I always remember her hair being white, but she had been a redhead and very proud of it. Her grandmother's name was Mary Moran. I think her maiden name was Halpin. Anyway, my grandma was rather plump. She had very white skin and beautiful blue eyes. She was fun and told us stories. She always treated us to ice cream called mellow rolls. It had to be vanilla. She told us the people in the factory spit in the chocolate. I think she just didn't want us to get dirty. Or maybe she didn't want us to dirty the furniture. At some time in her life, she stopped leaving her apartment, and she never went out again. She lived in 2545 Grand Concourse, the Bronx. She lived on the 3rd floor in the front. I think it was apartment 3H. She was always yelling at us not to lean out the windows. I learned much later she had a toddler who died. He fell over a railing and down the stairs. I really loved her. She had a temper and she couldn't handle her drinks, but she was kind and she was fun. Her husband we called Papa Jimmy. He was small and meek. He had been a New York City fireman. My mom told me she could remember terrible fighting because he was a heavy drinker. He had stopped drinking long before I knew him. He wore a derby hat and liked to sing "Oh, the Days of the Kerry Dances." But he had been born in New York. My mom was born in 1904. She grew up in St. Thomas the Apostle Parish in Harlem. I think it was 124th Street. She was taught by the Sisters of Mercy. I didn't know my father's parents very well. His mother was Ellen Devine, and she married Michael Dwyer. I was told Mike came over to this country when he was 2 years old. She had Frank, Joseph, May, Dan, Margie, Vincent, Gerard, and Evelyn. That may not be the right order. My father was born March 26, 1904. They were married June 16th, but I don't know the year, maybe 28 or 27. Grandma Dwyer had a hunchback. I think it may have been severe osteoporosis. Mom said she got it from tipping her chair, but I think that was just to stop us from tipping our chairs when we were little. When my mother wanted to impress us, she didn't hesitate to make up a scary story to go with it.